Volkswagen Group vehicles have always offered car buyers plenty of choice when it comes to engines. If there's a configuration you fancy, then yes, they probably offer it, be it petrol, diesel, hybrid, electric, or in this case, a hot hatch / hot estate plug-in hybrid. Remember when you asked for that? Remember? With car buyers becoming increasingly fussy, Skoda reckons it's found a little niche with this IV petrol plug-in hybrid version of its Octavia vRS, particularly when it comes to those who are after a company car that's both efficient and, well, not boring. So where does the IV sit in the Octavia vRS range? Well, there are currently 2-litre petrol and 2-litre diesel versions of the Octavia vRS available, but the IV actually uses a 1.4-litre petrol, which when combined with its 115 horsepower electric motor, produces a total output of 245 horsepower, which is actually the same power output as its 2-litre petrol. With us so far? Anyway, let's jump in and take a closer look. But before we do, please just take a second to click subscribe below this video and subscribe to the Business Car YouTube channel. Have you done that? Oh, cheers. So, there are a few design elements that instantly set the VRS apart from the regular Octavia, like this soft touch Alcantara trim on the dash, which is very nice. You get this carbon effect insert here. You also get very nice chunky sport seats with embroidered VRS letter in there, and you get loads of red stitching dotted around as well. I'd say it's just about sporty enough. There are, however, some really cheap plastics down here on the center console and on the door handles here, which is a bit weird. Speaking of the doors, actually, I really like this swooping design element here that just nicely blends into the door handle. I think that's very cool, very luxury saloon. Now, kit is impressive. You get all manner of smartphone connecting gadgets. You get sat-nav, a sleek digital display behind the steering wheel, DAB radio, loads of smart assist and comfort features. I mean, it's a 35k plus Volkswagen Group estate. You get what you pay for. However, what you also get is the Volkswagen Group's infotainment system. Now, rinsing this system for how bad it is has become a bit of a cliche, and while the system's still not amazing in the Octavia, Skoda have clearly made an effort to make it a bit more user-friendly than its German counterparts. And little things like physical buttons down here and the fact that you've got this ledge to rest your hand on while you're using it might only seem like very, very small things, but if you've used the likes of the screen in the Golf, then you'll realise that these very small things make a huge difference. Also, I wanted to draw your attention to this very small gear selector down here, which I still don't know whether I like it or not. I still can't make my mind up. It looks a bit like it should be in a Mercedes city car. Anyway, let us know what you think in the comments below. So in conclusion, the cabin is very comfy, it's well equipped, there's plenty of convenient little cubbies around. Being a Skoda, that's kind of what you expect. It's mostly good looking, but the screen can be a little bit naff at times, and yeah, there are surprisingly a few scratchy plastics dotted around. Thin. Behind the scenes things you didn't ask to see. Now, Skoda's never been one to mess around when it comes to practicality, and even with these big chunky sports seats, there's still loads of space in the back of the Octavia. You've got loads of legroom, loads of headroom, and yeah, it does feel quite airy. Okay, it's quite dark, but that comes with the sporty territory, I suppose. You also get a fold-down armrest with 2 cup holders, which is nice. You also get a ski hatch for, well, wrappers. And thank goodness they finally done it. They finally put it in a car. A smartphone holder. Remember when you asked for that? So that's something, I suppose. Now, although I said Skoda don't mess around when it comes to practicality, because this is the plug-in hybrid version, you do actually get 150 litres less boot space because of where the battery is located. Now that still leaves you with 450 litres, which is still pretty good, and because the batteries are there, the boot floor is actually higher, and that makes for a smoother run to those back seats when loading longer objects. So, swings and roundabouts, I suppose. You also get plenty of Skodaisms back here. You get some little hooks here for your shopping. There's plenty of tether points. You get some nice storage either side of the boot near the wheel arches, and you also get these quick release levers here which is very useful. I also like the fact that you've just got a nice wide opening here, a low load lift, and the boot lid lifts right up out of your way. But enough about boring practicality, because this is a Skoda vRS at the end of the day. So what's it like to drive? I'm in all electric mode at the minute, which is nice. So Skoda claims that on a full charge you can get up to 39 miles in the IV. Now realistically you're probably looking at between 20 to 30, which is okay if you're looking for a car for nipping back into on your daily commute. Now when you do park up and charge, it'll take around 3.5 hours to fully charge from a home wallbox charger. And the character of the Octavia when in full electric mode is lovely. Acceleration is very smooth but nippy when it needs to be, and the progressive steering is very easy to handle at low and high speeds. The ride is noticeably firm but not distractingly so, and yes, you do get a bit of tyre roar at high motorway speeds, but apart from that, it's a lovely car to drive. Now the transition between electric and petrol power is, well, let's just put it into hybrid petrol mode. And there you go. The transition is very smooth indeed, you can barely notice it. Now if you put it into sport mode, here we go, you can noticeably feel that things do sharpen up a bit. You get a sharper throttle response, the steering becomes a bit weightier but not uncommunicative, and the brakes feel a bit more urgent as well, which is, well, is welcome, because in normal mode you can feel a bit too progressive at times. But does the 1.4 litre petrol feel fast? Well, yeah, it does. 0 to 62 in just 7.3 seconds, which this 6-speed DSG automatic gearbox will happily accomplish, rifling up and down the gears very smoothly. I mean, it's not a bursting off the blocks hot hatch, but you do have plenty of poke right through the rev range. The sweet spot, however, is between 50 and 70 miles per hour. You can really feel the added shove of that electric motor, and in fact, Skoda claims that the IV is 2 seconds quicker than the regular petrol VRS between 50 and 70 miles per hour, which is madness. But yeah, if you want if you want the Octavia IV to drive like a regular hot hatch, then yes, that can be achieved between 50 and 70 miles an hour. This 1.4 is pretty quick. But this is a feather state, which adds extra battery, motor and other electric stuff, and that adds around 200 kilograms of extra weight. And you can feel it, but to be honest, the only time you really feel it is when you're pottering about through a winding country road at around 30 or 40 miles an hour, or you're absolutely caning it into bends. It's a difficult one to sum up this. I think if you're looking for a conventional hot hatch, which VRS IV customers probably aren't, then yes, you can achieve that familiar thrill at around 50 to 70 miles an hour, that window I mentioned earlier. Drive it any other way though, and I think it's perfectly fine. There's just no escaping the fact that this car is designed to be predominantly driven sensibly instead of sensationally or saucy, or something else beginning with S. Now MPG wise, Skoda claims 200 something. That's not going to happen. So if you're bombing it on a country road, I reckon you get around 30 miles per gallon. If you're pottering about town, 40 to 50, and if you're driving like your life depends on the last dregs of fuel in the tank, then around 60 to 70 is certainly doable. So what does that mean for tax? Well, the IV carries just an 11% BIK tax rating, which is very low indeed, and a big reason why this car is going to be on the shortlist of many company car drivers looking to slip one past the boss. So what's our verdict on this Octavia PHEV? Well, everything's becoming electrified, including sports cars, whether you like it or not. And Skoda's attempt at electrifying its VRS is pretty appealing. if you're a very specific type of driver. Now, you might be questioning its high-speed cornering capability and asking why doesn't it have a limited slip differential like the regular petrol VRS? That's absolutely fine, just know that this car clearly isn't for you. You can't assess it like a conventional hot hatch because it isn't one. It's a spacious, company car friendly family car with a bit of oomph. And cars like this are going to become more and more familiar over the next 5 to 10 years or so. Sometimes being ahead of the game can sting you, Skoda, and it's not your fault, it's just us car buyers are bloody fussy.